Okay, so he's gone. Okay, so yeah, say hi. Let me know who's here. And we are about to start. Carrie is just about to come on, and then I will introduce her. She is one amazing lady. She's a real powerful healer, she's a powerful teacher. So, Carrie, she had Lyme disease throughout her 30s, and then she found energy work, which helped her in ways that she couldn't even imagine was possible. And through her passion, she's now helping others doing this through her own business, through her own career, through living her own purpose. So her and I are going to have a little chat, and I'm going to bring Carrie on now, if I can figure it out, but I'm pretty sure I can. Okay, so here she is.
Okay.
So thanks for joining us. And actually, I'm pretty sure this was your idea.
Right. Yeah, it was so fun to chat with you that day that I really felt like this is a conversation that you and I are going to enjoy having. So,
Yeah. So what is it about this particular conversation that you're so passionate about?
well, when I was sick, so like basically through most of my 30s, most of the time I didn't know what it was. Kind of chronic fatigue, migraines, that thing that happens with all of this. And I had no idea that there was a large subset of people who go through things like this where it's actually time, it's like your soul knocking on the door saying it's time to do something different. It's time to get after what you came here for. And I didn't have any idea that that was a thing. Like, I thought I was just sick, right?
Yeah.
So I still, for a long time, kind of thought that was sort of just my experience and I was maybe making it up. But the more people I've talked to who've been through a situation like this, the more I see that this is really quite common and lots of us have that experience. And I will acknowledge that it's not everybody who this is the truth for, but it was such a realization for me to like know, oh, like that's what happened here. And I don't know, I guess I wanted to be able to put purpose to those years of pain. Like, oh, okay, there's a reason for it. I can move on with my life now. So
Yeah.
kind of what excites me about it.
So what was the wake up call that helped you realize?
Well, I had never really known like what I wanted to be when I grew up. I'd been in the Peace Corps. Owned a newspaper at the time. I was kind of flitting around in different types of jobs and careers and things. And when I got sick, it forced me to start doing things like personal development work and really looking at um, that whole realm of more meaning and not just kind of being, it wasn't exactly a wage slave, but just I was didn't feel like I was doing things that actually mattered a great deal.
Hmm.
And so for me, that idea that life can I can follow something that actually means something a great deal to me, that was new. And having shifted to that, my life is so radically different. And there's I don't know, it's a more powerful existence, more meaning, get up in the day, every day, and then being able to like support other people through these challenges. It all just means a lot more.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. For me, I remember when you see, because you and I think you've managed to have yours and heal from it, and you've been in so much alignment that that was it. Whereas me, I managed to heal myself, and then through my crazy rides, I had three different chronic illnesses. So each one took me a level deeper and really helped me realize exactly what I wasn't allowing in myself. And the first time was like a real chronic fatigue one. And that was a lot about not allowing in energy. Like I literally shut down my energy centers. I
Right.
thought that I hadn't been a very good person before that. And I sort of blamed a lot of uh, like basically I was like into witchcraft and stuff like that and psychic readings. And I sort of blamed that.
Right.
But it wasn't that. It was the fact that I was scared of the truth.
Yeah.
And so the first time that I got chronically sick, it helped me come into a place where I had to learn how to allow in love again for the first time. And then the second time it was chronic lung disease that almost killed me, and I actually got really bad. But
Wow.
that's because I was like super out of alignment, and I was still partying, and I was just living a life that was so out of alignment. But that one was a lesson of self-respect. So it's like these real base
Yeah.
teachings,
Yeah.
like real simple, like fundamental, and qualities that I think a lot of us lack and miss out on.
Right. Yeah. Wow. And so, so 3 bouts of this, and now you feel like you are on a soul path. You are on an alignment that.
Yeah. I feel like I broke the cycle. Like I've had like this 10-year cycle. Actually, I thought it was 12, but it actually started when I was 2. I tuned in, and it was just from a lot of neglect and never knowing how to actually look after myself properly, never knowing to parent myself.
Mhm.
And I feel like this time round, because I couldn't just move, there's a bit of a long story with that, but long story short, I was like in one place.
Mhm.
And so rather than being able to move and see like because I was blaming the environment.
Mhm. Right.
And rather than that, I had to take my own power back and realize that it's not the environment. And now I'm living in the same place, but the
Mhm.
whole entire world is different around me. I see it differently. I no longer blame the environment. I am just like my life is amazing now, but yet on the outside, nothing really has changed. It's all on the inside.
Wow. Wow. That's that's amazing. I want to jump back 1 second because you said something that I think is so critical for people who are kind of on the precipice with this. You said you were afraid of the truth.
Hmm.
Can we talk about what that's like? Because I had a very similar experience. For years, I was terrified of what I knew to be true, and
Hmm.
that kept me from taking the steps forward into what eventually has, I feel, is a soul purpose work for me and way of living. So let's talk a little bit about what that's like to be afraid of the truth and knowing there's a step you have to take. What was that like for you?
Well, it was a long drawn out process because I was not only afraid of the truth of what I needed to do in my own life, but personally, I was afraid of the truth full stop. So the way that manifested in me was I would lie. I would just, when I was younger, I would chronically lie. And it really actually ended up into a lot of, I know it's going to sound crazy, but who cares? Like a lot of like psychic illnesses. Like it's really hard to explain, but some really weird, crazy stuff happened between me and my partner, my ex-partner, who I was lying to. We both were going through some real like mental breakdowns at the same time on opposite sides of the country, having psychic dreams about each other because we're both chronically lying to each other. So
Wow.
that's how the main part of the lying showed up for me. But then the next time round with the lung disease, I was really lying to myself because I was running a business in San Francisco that was basically sucking my soul. So it
Yeah.
was I was honest then, like on like with me, but
Mhm.
I was doing something that was really sucking my soul and damaging me. And I wasn't allowing myself to believe that I was good enough to be a healer, which is what at that time I wanted to do. I just didn't believe that I could do it. I couldn't even see it. I couldn't even imagine it. So for me, when it comes to like ignoring your truth, it was almost like I had the truth coming to me in like these little fragments of like visions of the way that I wanted to help people, but it just seemed too big, too much. And I refused to believe, like, I tried to believe it, but I couldn't. I couldn't believe that someone like me, who I thought I was, could
Right.
ever step into the visions that I saw. So that's what it was like for me. What about you?
Wow. Wow. I just want to appreciate that for a minute. That's so huge. Sometimes, maybe all of the time, when we are faced with glimpses of our potential, it scares the shit out of us, right? Like it can be so big and so intimidating that of course we go and run and hide under the bed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes it's not fair to be given those little glimpses of this is who you are. This is what you could be doing in the world. Oh my God. Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
I love it and I hate it because it's terrifying and I still
Yeah.
have moments. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Um, for me, mine was really having shut down my connection to spirituality. I had had a really hard time with the spiritual, the the package of spirituality that I had grown up with. It was it was just a religion that just was didn't work. It was very close and confining, and I had had to walk away from that, and then lost all sense of the ability to connect with anything divine. I had my I'm not good enough was I am not good enough to have any kind of connection with the divine. And so I felt this divine calling to me, and I kept saying, no, I can't do that. I'm not good enough. It's not good enough. Whatever it was, there was just this really strong pushback of there's no divinity for me. I can't do that. And
Wow.
thank goodness, I mean, the knocks kept coming, and I kept getting sicker and sicker as I said no to them. And finally, it was, I had hit what I want to be my rock bottom. I mean, like, dear God, I hope that's as bad as it gets, where my body was shutting down, and the adrenal fatigue and the all of the symptoms were getting so bad that it was, I could tell this is going one direction and one direction fast. When I got to that point, I actually started opening up to, okay, what's like baby steps of something bigger than me? If we start using a word that's source or universe, we use a word that doesn't scare me as much. What
Yeah.
would I opened up a tiny bit, and it was baby steps into opening that door that I'd closed largely. Yeah.
So what was it like for you to realize that it was okay to connect to that divinity again?
Oh my God. It was like being welcomed back into this this home, this loving, compassionate, amazing home that I had lost and left behind maybe this entire life. But it was the most wonderful experience of coming home again. And so once that doorway opened, I still had to kind of negotiate with my, the ego mind, the 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 control mind, to let the door open more and more, because it was the most extraordinary and loving place I felt I'd ever been.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'd love to hear what's like for people listening that want to know, well, how can they get in contact with their divinity?
Mhm.
Because I know for me, that's something I didn't even know that was a thing. I didn't even know it was a thing. And I always shunned the whole idea of religion. I didn't grow up religious, and I always used to completely mock it. But I always understood, once I started waking up a little bit back in my early 20s, I understood that we're all one, but I
Mhm.
still didn't know that we could access the actual God energy, the actual grace of God.
Mhm.
So, what are some, like, I don't know, like either tips or processes, or what was it that what is it something that someone could try for themselves to open up to that source energy?
Right. Well, I had a couple of resources fall into my lap. One of them is a book that I actually have all of my clients check out. It's a woman who was an astrologer in San Francisco, and now she's kind of a guide, a mentor for those of us who want more divinity in our lives. Her book is called Outrageous Openness. Her name is Tosha Silver. She is the bomb. She's absolutely amazing. She's loving, she's radical, she's everything that you would want in the like baby steps into there's more. So her book helped me see that divine could be different. It could be more inclusive. It didn't have to be this tiny box that was so confining and uncomfortable. And then the other thing that I had no idea that it was that I was working with what I now consider divine energy until I'd been at it for years, honestly. But
Hmm.
it was working with my own life force through energy healing to change my body.
Yeah.
So at the depths of my illness, I found another amazing little resource called The Emotion Code by Dr. Bradley Nelson. And he teaches how to use muscle testing to start releasing emotional gunk that's in your system. And it was years of doing that before I was like, had to admit, I'm like, okay, this is actually divine force. This is my life force that is divine inside me. And the more of this old emotional gunk that I release, the closer I get to knowing that part inside me that is actually divine, that isn't wounded. There, I believe there is a being that we are that isn't wounded, that is beyond. And when we offload our gunk, all of our traumas and our shit and our pain and all that stuff, we get closer to knowing ourselves as divine. So
Yeah.
that's been my experience.
I feel like it was similar for me, how working with that energy, feeling the life force of it, the energy of it, but I never, not in the way I do now, I never really equated it with the divine God source energy. I just, I knew that, as I said, we're a one and all, but it was just so foreign to me that I just didn't even really quite click that that's what I was working with. So I feel like maybe something to like leapfrog people forward is just to really understand that you can easily, like very easily, tune into this divine energy just through a breath and just through coming into your heart space.
Yeah.
And also what you said about releasing the gunk is like, that's it. Like just release, 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 and then realize that it can be easy, you know?
Yes. Yeah, we these narrow paradigms where divine is external, um they I think they teach us, wow, I was not planning to go here in our conversation, but I think they teach us that divine is a big freaking deal, and it's actually, it's everything. It's what we are made of. It's inside of us. And a lot of my clients get really gun shy around the word divinity. And
Yeah.
so we start the way I did. We start with, what does it feel like in your body? And we start using little tiny tools to start incrementally changing you, and changing what's happening, changing the way you feel, changing the what's happening in your adrenal glands. I mean, like really grounded what's happening in your body. And over time, we release the gunk that says, I'm not enough, I'm not. And then the ability to see the divine in the self just happens. I find it's not something we have to fight for. Once we start tuning into and working with our own life force, we don't have to fight this notion that we are divine as much.
Hmm. I completely agree. It's really just a matter of releasing, and then that pure life force energy is there coursing through your veins, coursing through your spirit.
Yeah.
And especially when you work with the energy, you can just start to feel, you know?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, you can. And you kind of have to just take somebody else's word for it at first.
Hmm.
If it's completely foreign, you have to take a little bit of a leap of faith and be in a great deal of pain, honestly. And I would love it if we didn't have to hit rock bottom in order to start making these shifts in ourselves. But I think it takes, I think pain is a really big motivator, and pain gets us
Yeah.
to that where we're like, okay, I'll try something.
So what is it for you? What has been your experience to help people see if it is a wake up call for them? Like, let's talk about that for a bit.
It hasn't been a really big push for me with my clients. They don't, they haven't come to me with that question, but it's like after there comes a point where we've started, interesting, we've started moving a lot, and they've started really feeling better, and they realize this is significant. Like, holy crap, I was on a liquid only diet and I could only eat four foods. Anything else made me feel wretched. And now I'm back to eating normal foods, and I have a pretty wide menu that I can like go to a restaurant and order food, you know? The massive change that that is, and feeling how significant it is in their lives, they start to feel, I want to do this. I want to do more with my life. Seeing that it's possible working, you know, working with me, they're like, oh my God, you're so on purpose and you're doing the thing you love. I want that.
Mm.
So as their life changes and they get more freedom from their own crap, they start to feel, I want more, and I want to have that purpose feeling that I see in you. And from there, we're
Mhm.
like, hey, let's dial this up and see what's possible. Because I don't know what your purpose is. But yeah. What about you?
Um,
Do your clients come to you with that question?
I feel like now most of my clients, they already either know their purpose and are full on working on it, or they get these fragments of visions and they're like, what is this about? But the people that I've helped that like have the chronic illnesses and things like that, I do see like a lot of sort of stuckness around where they are in their life, and they do have these things, but they have like this barrier where they believe that they can't do it.
Yeah.
And it's almost like, for me, I know for me it was about seeing how I was capable of so much more. It was
Okay.
about seeing that these things that I saw inside of me, as fragmented for me as they were real. And so I really feel like for people that are going through that, it's about having a good, honest look inside about what is it that you're resisting, about what, rather than trying to positive think over it, stop that. Like have a look at what's actually there that's causing the negative feeling, and then you're going to see something really profound inside of yourself, and it's probably going to scare the bejeebus out of you. But
Mm-hmm.
when you
Mm-hmm.
just start allowing yourself to make decisions from this now moment,
Yeah.
instead of always trying to like plan and stress and wonder what's going to happen, I
Mm-hmm.
found that when you get somebody to make a decision and just like let everything else go, tune into their heart space, into that divinity feeling,
Mm-hmm.
then they can get the truth, and it doesn't even seem that scary because it's coming from a place of trust. So
Right.
that's what I really feel like, if people want to really know for sure about their purpose, is to tune into that heart space first, get into a state of compassion, and then
Mm-hmm.
simply ask, like, if I wasn't scared, what would I do? Or what's the problem that I want to solve? What do I feel called to do? Things like that.
Yeah.
It's funny, like I feel like it's actually really simple when we stop thinking that it's complicated, you know?
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I agree. Um, and that leads me to something that you had mentioned in our earlier conversation the other day, which was that you learned to listen and trust yourself, which
Mm.
learning is a process. So what what were the early steps in that learning to listen and to trust yourself? Do you remember?
Yeah, I think it was just that I kept making so many mistakes. Uh, and I would always be like, "Oh, I knew I shouldn't have done that." Yeah, and so then I'd be like, "Oh, that sounds exactly the same. That oh, I knew I shouldn't have done that voice." Every time it was the same, and then I started listening to it, and then I started noticing when I didn't listen to it, and then
Right.
very soon I was like, "Look, this is a pattern." And I
Right.
just started sort of not blindly, but like leaping in faith, being like, you know what, I've seen time and time and time again, either big things or sometimes just little things.
Mhm.
The amount of times I said, oh, I knew I shouldn't have done that, I just started listening to that voice.
Okay. Okay. Wow. Wow. And so that voice, was it was it a mean voice or was it a nice voice?
No, it was it that the I knew I shouldn't have done it was the afterwards feeling. There was probably judgment in that. There was probably nagging and support, but
Okay.
it was the voice before.
Okay.
It was the voice at the moment. That little it was actually not really a voice, and it was more of a feeling. And so I
Okay.
started tuning in to how, and very early on, before I really learned about any of this spirituality stuff too much, back when I was still very crazy and into the party, oh, I had done Buddhism for a few years, but anyway, I started noticing that every time that I had a yes or a do this or a go for it, it was like this light, uplifting,
Oh,
expansive feeling, and every time it was a no, it was a sinking, contracting feeling. So then afterwards, when I wouldn't listen to it, and I would go, oh, I knew I shouldn't have done that. I
mhm.
noticed that every time it was because I had this sinking, contracting feeling that I wasn't listening to. So I just started noticing, oh, wait there. I'm starting to feel a sinking feeling. I better not say yes to this. And
Awesome.
then I wouldn't. And even if I couldn't explain it, even if it was like going over to a friend's house, or
Uh,
once it was like saying yes to renting a place, I remember
right.
that was when it really solidified. The first
Wow.
time I really listened to it, it was as simple as renting an apartment.
Wow.
And it all seemed good, but then I felt this contraction when I thought about it, and I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. And then and actually the person who was running it to me sort of got like flew off the handle a bit for zero reason. I was just like, there was no commitments, no nothing. I was just like talking about coming and seeing it, and that
Yeah.
was confirmation, like, oh, this person be crazy, like it's really good that I decided not to go.
Right. Awesome. Yeah, that one really big confirmation can help a lot as we're trying to
Hmm.
trust. Yeah, that's awesome. It's so interesting how different your process was from mine, and
Yeah,
yet how it's brought us to an extremely similar place.
yeah.
Mine was very much finding and feeling the energy moving. So
Mm,
feeling that I would muscle test into a thing and like do the like, is it this? Is it that? When did it start? What was it going on at the time? And actually getting my yeses and nos, really learning that muscle testing yes no system, and learning to trust that I felt better when this happened. And so trusting that however crazy this sounds, and I totally came from a mindset of all this stuff is completely crazy. So beginning to trust as my body started feeling better and the anxiety went away and the gut pain would start alleviating and I could sleep better and I was awake more during the day. As those things shifted, I had to acknowledge that something's happening here that is beyond me. And so it
mm,
was, for me, it was learning to trust the feeling in my body incrementally, little by little, that something is happening here and I have no real understanding of it. And so there was such a strong drive for me to understand it better. Like this inquisitive mind was like, what just happened? And so I
yeah,
studied like crazy. And yeah, so for me, I was not able to go and listen to those voices saying, don't do that, do this. I couldn't get there for a really long time. My trust was in my belly almost exclusively for the first few years.
yeah.
And even when I started working with other clients, I would hear very clear, audible sentences, and I would be like, I'm not going to say that out loud. That's crazy.
Yeah, I know what you mean. But you have to
Right.
say it anyway, and then they get the shift.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And so it's taken a long time for me to trust that this like these crazy psychic things that happen are real and they can help and we can be different and it's actually really helpful in our soul purpose work if we can listen to that.
Yeah. The thing that really connects us here with what helped us change and listen to our truth is that we both learned to listen to the feelings in our body.
Yeah.
It's the feelings. Is it a yes? Is it a light? Is it bright? Or is it a lie, which is heavy and contracting, usually in your belly? Although I've had met some people that feel yes in their legs and a no in their head. I've met at least a few people like that. But
Mm-hmm.
most people, it's usually like expansive up here. Not that that's wrong, but most
Right.
people, it's like if you're expansive up here and contracting down in the belly. So
Right.
that's why kinesiology is so great for that because it
Right.
just shows you exactly what your body's thinking. I don't have
Exactly.
much experience with it, but I know that it's fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah, and I was just actually talking with a client about this the other day, um, where when I was starting with what you're just describing, I would say to my body, okay, I have to have an answer on this. And you have two options, body. You can give me a light, open, lifted feeling from my chest, or you can give me a feeling of dread in my belly, and any other answers don't count. Like I am so dense that I want one of two answers here. And if I get neither, I'm going to change the question until you can answer me in this format that I can understand. So it was
Yeah.
this negotiation with my body where it's just like, okay, I want I want to hear you. I want to do what's best, but my ears don't work. There's so little input that I can hear and trust. We have two options. And I still do that sometimes. I'm like, okay, I got to have a yes or a no here or in the gut. Give me one of
Mhm.
these. Yeah. And that was an amazing process for me too, to be like, oh, I can actually have this conversation. I can get a response and trust it. It's
Yeah.
amazing. Like, I didn't know that was possible.
Yeah, the only reason that people think that stuff like this doesn't work is because they never try it. You
Right.
know, we're told that talking to yourself is crazy, which actually
Right.
intelligent people talk. If you don't talk to yourself, then you're listening to old programs and audio tracks going around in your head and conditioning. So we want to have an intrinsic, like a constant, pretty much conversation with ourselves. And yeah, as you said about tuning into your body, and you can direct your body, and it will. I mean, because your body is having an experience in this physical world, and it will communicate with you exactly what it needs and exactly what you need.
Yeah.
So I think that's a really big lesson for people, is to like start trusting that heavy and that light feeling.
Right. Right. And it's that's really simple. It's simple. Everybody knows what that feeling of lightness is. Everybody knows the feeling of dread. And you can
Mhm.
start there. And it opens doorways. It
Yeah.
opens incredible doorways of potential and trusting your body and starting to get into your body where so much magic happens. We spend so much time up here in our crazy little heads.
Yeah.
Oh,
You know, this is a really good time to bring up. I think with that dread feeling, the reason why it's so much havoc in people's life is because when we feel that dread feeling, it's easy to think, oh, this feeling means that I'm bad. This feeling means I'm not good enough. It's
right.
not what it means at all.
Oh,
The
yeah.
feeling, from the way I see it, is it's telling you the thought that you're thinking is not true. So if
Right.
you're thinking, oh, they're not going to like me, and so I better not do it, you're going to feel heaviness, which people will then interpret as, oh, they're not going to like me, and that means that's true. No, because heaviness is a lie.
Right. I love that. I want to underline that. Yes. Oh my God. If we could just take that home, that is
Right?
an amazing truth.
It changes everything.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Right. Oh, I love that. Such clarity. That's fantastic. Ah, okay. So now I want to come around to this question that I touched on earlier and that we talked about the other day, which is, you said that at one point you switched from nagging yourself to supporting yourself. And you had
Yeah.
thought that you were like supporting yourself all along, but the truth is you were actually being mean. And anyone who has been on this personal journey work has done this. We have done it in the interest of our highest selves, of our best growth, whatever, but we've done it in a nagging way rather than a supporting way. Will you
Yeah.
please say more about that?
Well, I really feel like there needs to be a big billboard up, because these most of the thoughts that people are thinking are actually not positive. And I feel like the negative thoughts, okay, we know a negative thought in general, okay,
Mhm.
and we're pretty aware of it. Where, they might get stuck, but the actual problem is that people think that their thoughts are important. None of our thoughts are important, okay. All we need to do is shut those thoughts up, because what I noticed was I would tell myself I should do something, I have to do something, I want to do something, even like it would seem, even if it was something that would be good for me, I would be like, oh, I should do this. I should do a live stream. I should eat this healthy thing. And it's like, that's not gonna help ever. What
No.
you want to do is go, okay, well, let me tune in and be guided to the right answer from a heart space. So it's a whole different way of living, and you sort of have to almost not like back up, but when you feel the thought saying, you should do this, you should do that, I shouldn't do this, that's only going to send you into sabotage, resistance. It's coming from a nagging, really unhelpful place. So it's about sort of letting it go and backing up for a bit, sort of literally maybe back up out of the thought energy and go, whoa, I do not need these thoughts. Literally, don't need them. And then you breathe, as we've talked about, get in that divinity space, and then you get soul guided. But for me, it's about trusting that I can be soul guided in every now moment. So when I get anxious, which, happens every day, like a little thing, I'm like, oh, like, am I charging the right amount? Or, like, am I saying the right thing? Or, what if I don't do this? Or all that sort of stuff. And I just stop myself and I go, the breath is important. Right there. This is now. This is now. That's not happening. This is now. I don't need to think all this sort of stuff. I can tune in and the answer will come to me. And when I trust that and I go into this slower energy, and as I say, you shut that voice up in your head, then you can actually access the divine truth, as we were talking about. And that's the space that I'm living from now. Yeah.
Yes. Wow. And it is so simple. It's so much simpler than you can imagine.
So simple.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like you said, it's thanking your brain for doing its job of like thinking, but backing away from it. It's like, yes,
Yeah.
thank you so much. Not interested.
Mm-hmm.
What's real? Yeah. And acknowledging that our brains are designed to just create thoughts. It's like this ongoing brainstorming session. Just going to throw thoughts out there. 98% of them are crap. Just going to keep going. It's like, no, step away. Back away from the thought machine. Truth is not to be found there.
Oh, it's true. Yep.
Yeah, truth
and that
is
feels light. When you said that, I felt a big light feeling, which, for everyone watching, when you feel that light feeling, that's truth.
Right. Yeah. Awesome. Oh, gosh, I love this. I love you. You're awesome. Yay. Okay. And so, with all of that, one super important thing to remember is that wherever you are right now is okay. Oh, you cannot do this any faster than you can do it. You can't make any mistakes along the way. There's no, there's no test. There's no wrong answers. Wherever you are is exactly okay, and you're fine there, right? We end up with so much self-criticism over what we think we should be.
Yeah, and you think, okay, well, yesterday I didn't do it. Let's say there's something that you want to do, you were scared, so you didn't do it. And then it comes to the time where you said you were going to, but then you think, oh, but yesterday I didn't. Yesterday I made this mistake. And you feel this tension and your shoulders go up. And it's because you've got this vibration going on where you're thinking about how you didn't do it, how it didn't work, how you effed up last time. And it's like, just back away from the thoughts and be like, wait, nothing exists but now. I can make a decision from now as a brand new person. And this is like the literal truth. When you don't listen to those stories, then everything is simple. Like as you're saying, Carrie, it's all simple when you don't listen to those stories.
Right.
And then, that's when everything is okay. You realize, okay, here I am right now. I might have this stuff that seems to be going on, but right here, right now, I can choose to do literally anything. And when you know that you can be guided by divinity, well, I mean, it's sort of like game over. It's like, okay, well, all I have to do is do what I'm guided to do right now, and then do what I'm guided to do right now when it's the next now.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. And the doorway to that, for me, the only doorway to that is to get into my body, to get out of my head and feel what's in my body. Now is simple and not very easy to actually find in my experience. I love my monkey mind. Oh my God, I love it. The only way to get to that is to just breathe and get into my belly, like low body, belly, breathing, and then now shows up. And then that's how I find the divinity, because I cannot think my way into now. I don't know about you.
Yeah, exactly. It does. It has to be an emotional, physical journey into the body. Yeah, that's such a great point.
Yeah. Yeah. And so if you've heard this a million times, find it through your body. Try dropping in, breathing deep belly breaths, and just feeling what your body is guiding you toward. That is where now exists. I mean, other people
Yep.
may have other tools for it, but this is the one that works for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me it's orienting myself with my surroundings, like, like coming into my body, coming into my heart, like touching a pillow, and but for the purposes of feeling touch and being
Uh-huh.
like, okay, this is where I am. That thing about that, like not working out isn't physically around me, not working out right now. This is just me here. And I'll do this as many times a day as I need to, just to get out of that make believe nightmare, you
Totally.
know?
Hmm.
Whoops.
Boy, we've been blessed by the tech gods today.
Yes.
They're joining us. Awesome. Okay, so as we wrap up, what would you say is the most important thing from your perspective to keep in mind if you're in this position of you're really sick, you feel like there's a truth that's knocking at your door, it scares you? What would you say?
The first thing is to realize that your human body is literally 100% designed to heal very quickly. And all it takes is to let go of what's not working, whether it's the toxins in your life. Well, it's a combination. It's always going to be a combination of the toxins in your life, your attitude, your purpose, things like that. And there's always, like, I think there's 4 or 5 of them. If you want to read a book about it, it's called Spontaneous Healing by Andrew Weil. It's really, really good.
Awesome.
But what I would say is to really look at the things that you want to do secretly, that you secretly want to do, but
Mm-hmm.
you're scared of, and just
Mm-hmm.
ask yourself, well, if I wasn't scared, if I knew I couldn't fail, what would I do? And then you're going to get the answer, and then you're going to get some thoughts telling you that you can't do it, and it's going to feel like it's you, but it's not you. So then you come back into the now as Carrie's teaching to come down into your body, come down into your belly, just like that, and really just understand that you can choose any reality when you just shut those voices up in your head. And so, but then it's a journey. It's like the energy work, definitely use a lot of energy work to clear. Um, and yeah, I think that's where I'll leave that. So there are a good few steps
Love that.
to begin.
Yeah, I love that. I love
What
that.
about
And
you?
the only thing I might add is to go easy on yourself.
Mm,
To just that we are so hard on ourselves, especially people with chronic illness. We're type A. We are get stuff done. We are so demanding of ourselves.
yeah.
Find moments to give yourself a break and to take that now and to trust the belly. And it's going to be okay because your body can heal so fast. I've been sick for 10 years and I got well in 6 friggin' months. 6 months.
Yeah,
And my entire life back. We can heal fast. It can happen. Yeah. Awesome.
absolutely.
Wow. Oh, thank you so much. This has just been an absolute joy talking with you.
No.
Um, what do you have something that you would love to offer our viewers?
I do. We have some
Okay.
really special gifts for everyone.
Yay.
So, my gift is one of my premium meditations from my program, Trust Your Way into Alignment, which has 57 spots for 57 blessed ones. Now, Trust and Allow is the meditation. And what this is going to do, this is going to send you into a state of trust, and then it's going to actually help you contract back into fear in a safe way. And then you're
Uh,
going to expand back out into trust so you can feel the difference. So
love
I'm
it.
going to drop that link in the comments, and you can totally sign up and get it. So
Oh,
let me get the link. Yeah, it's really awesome. It's
yeah.
one of my favorite meditations that I've done.
Oh, that's fantastic. I love the ability to build that resilience, to move from one state and then come back and move back and forth because that's the biggest one of the biggest challenges we have is to come back to now. We
Yeah,
get out and we get into our crazy and we're always going to, but if we can learn the pathway back to calm, to now, to peace, That's the
Yeah.
case. That's the thing
It
you're
was
getting.
actually when I downloaded and led this meditation on audio when I'd like just did it. Um, Afterwards, I was in a greater state of trust. Like I thought I was in trust, but then I did this meditation and just the contracting and the expanding. I think you contract one more time and you expand to the size of like the earth or something like that. And
Oh.
yeah, it just left you so expanded. So I'm really, really excited to share. So, what about yours, Carrie?
So there's a process that I lead my clients through when they're in a place of like this dilemma of there's something that I need to do and it scares the bejesus out of me. And I call it my Clarity Now guide. And it walks us through step by step what is in our way, what's the fear, what's the bad thing, and gets us to that place of, oh, that. And once we can see the thing in living color, it loses its teeth, it loses its power over us in a way, and it also gives us something to work with. Because when it's hiding in like in the shadows, we are driven by it. We can't move forward until we can see the thing. And so I love this process. And again, I'll drop it in the link. Um, but yeah, that process is so powerful for if you're in a place of I have to do this thing and I keep not doing it. I keep sabotaging in one way or another, not doing the thing that I need to do that feels like I need to do it. So
Hmm.
uh, that is something I absolutely love. So I'd love to share that with anyone.
Yeah, that's going to be a great process. Like, what I find is that when people go in and they sort of look at the monster under the bed, they find that it's actually just like a little puppy that's actually just really scared and sort of whimpering. So
Yeah,
it takes all the power away from that monster, and then you can really transform it. So that sounds fantastic.
yeah, it's awesome. Yes, thank you. All right. Let's do this again sometime. I'm sure that you and I have many other places in which we correspond, and I've absolutely
Yeah.
loved this conversation.
Yeah. Thank you so much for suggesting it.
Yay. All right. Take care. And anyone, we would love your comments. Let's have a conversation. Let's talk about all this stuff because this is just the doorway into a life that feels like it's more filled with purpose and it's on point for you. So let's dive in.
Yay.
Hey, we'll see you all in the
Thank
comments.
you. Bye.
Okay.